African sky, a great heart is standing by. I'm searching for the spirit of the great heart.
Welcome to the fourth episode, the fourth Pinnacle X episode. And we are so excited today. I have got the most fantastic guest on this Pinnacle X podcast. Guys, this person, number one, is a fantastic mother to two children, a single mom, a provider of note. This person is not just a business owner, but a speaker, fantastic speaker. Look her up. All her details will be at the end of this podcast. Board member of probably many companies. I don't know. Very experienced in business. The first MD of South African Mint, which is just incredible. One of three ladies that qualified with a chemical engineering degree at Tuckies, the University of Pretoria. Been involved in so many sectors in the South African industry, from and I probably won't list them all, but I'm going to have a crack. Mining, energy, finance, development, manufacturing, and there's probably a whole lot of other stuff. And this person today, my special guest, who is so bright and has got, you can just feel her energy already, is Honey Mamabolo. Welcome, Honey. Welcome to the Pinnacle X podcast.
Thank you, Doug, and thank you for inviting me to your fourth edition of the Pinnacle X. It seems to be the place to be.
Absolutely. And it just gets better and better with the guests. So thank you, Honey, for taking the time. I know you're an exceptionally busy person. And I mean, just with all that experience that I've just listed now, I don't know how you do it, firstly, but I'm going to start off at the beginning. Because this is guys, remember, this is an unprepared podcaster. So we speak from the heart straight away. And what you're hearing is real. So the first thing I want to know is, how do you cope as a mom when you're doing so much?
Sure. To be honest, Doug, my kids are not so young anymore. So I've got a 24-year-old and a 21-year-old.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they've borne the brunt of my business. And I believe time with your children, even when they're young, two things that you need as a parent is to give them quality time and assure them in love, so that when you are not around, the love can carry them. But I would not have done this without a strong support. I had a helper for almost 18 years who passed on, bless her soul, after 18 years of being with us. Sure. And yes, I was married. So my ex-husband was a very strong support.
Okay. So your kids have actually, like you say, 21 your daughter and 24 your son.
Yes,
and doing well. And I think that comes from that solid base. So you can also give yourself a pat on the back. So well done there, Honey.
Yeah,
going back to Tuckies, Pretoria University.
Yeah.
How? Because are you Afrikaans? How did you handle that?
I'm not even English. So just be thankful we are speaking in a middle ground language.
But wow, that must have felt awesome, being one of the three to get this chemical engineering degree. I mean, tell us about that.
It wasn't an easy road. I mean, you ask whether I'm Afrikaans. Well, my Afrikaans, I can only say that's all. But it was interesting that when I joined Tux, some of the lecturers were still in Afrikaans. Now, my first language is Sepedi. I come from Limpopo. Yeah. So that's my first language. And obviously, English is a language where we all meet each other. Not at Tux at the time. At Tux, most of the lecturers insisted on speaking Afrikaans, and they would be ticked off by some of us who were so-called English-speaking people.
Yeah.
So the road was, I wouldn't say difficult. It's a word I shy away from. The road was challenging. However, we had great support from the lectures that we had at the University of Pretoria. And I think it required tenacity and perseverance. I
Yeah.
wasn't the first woman. We were not the first group of Black females to join chemical engineering, but we were the first to be recorded in history as the
Okay.
first. So some people along the way fell off. And I think it's about grit, eh? Grit and
Yeah.
grace.
Yeah.
So we made it
Yeah.
through.
And I can feel you have that drive. You have that drive as you're pretty focused in what you're doing. I mean, with all this experience, all this achievement, it's incredible. It's incredible. And then you move into that male dominating business, the SA South African
Yeah,
Mint.
yeah.
How did you do in that? How did you cope with that? I mean, you must have had some pressures on you to perform uh, in that environment. I mean, tell us a bit more about that.
I think the Mint as a role, was a culmination of many other roles that have prepared me to the role. In that, and it came at a time where I was, I think, mature as a leader. It was not my first MD role. I'd been a CEO of a company that services the automotive OEMs.
Okay.
And traditionally, my career has been in male-dominated
Yeah.
environments. Yes, I was in finance, but you'll find if you do the numbers, you've got more males than females, especially the higher up you go.
Yeah.
So I think I was prepared for the role. And I think you always need good support of your board, support of your team, and
Yeah.
and a level of calmness and acceptance that it comes with the territory.
So that's incredible. I've always wanted to know how you guys came up with the different pictures and the coins, and how does that happen? How do you guys
So I was
decide?
yes, and I suppose so. You've got a design team. The Mint had a design team, and obviously it goes through various approval levels all the way to a cabinet where the designs are gazetted. But there's a design team, and then there's a team internally R&D that then do the testing and the
Yeah.
qualifying of the coins, and then ultimately the coins are struck into what we see.
Okay. Okay. Very,
And usually
very.
the designs are theme based. So a design panel would agree a theme.
Okay. Okay. Very interesting. And now you've got something that's very close to my heart. You in life coaching,
Yeah.
and I mean, look at your the behind you. I mean, it's just you are. I just your look at your smile. I mean, people can just relate to you straight away because you come across warmly, and I mean, I'm very interested to know. You've now firstly your brand, the
Mm.
Godfidence Coach. It's got
Yeah.
a bit of there's a mixture there of faith
Yeah.
and of
Yeah.
confidence. How did you come
Yeah.
up with that name?
Sure, it's a very interesting story. I think that started in 2017. So 2017, highly overworked and stressed, executive based in Durban. I went away to a retreat, one of my first retreats, just for some quiet time,
Yeah.
to be in solitude with myself and with God. And during that period, obviously, lots of meditation, walking by the mountain down in Greyton in the Cape. So that's
Okay.
where I went.
Okay.
And
Hmm.
the quiet, because I've always one of the things I struggled with is I don't know how to shut my brain off because I'm always working and I work crazy hours. Those that have worked with me will tell you 14 hours every day is nothing.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
got capacity for days. Now and then, I need to go away, to be quiet, to rest, to sleep, which I'm most of the time deprived of. Not now as a coach, thankfully. And then I came across this word, Godfidence. And what Godfidence says is I can't, but God can.
Okay.
That's where it came from. And then later, when I thought of a coaching brand, because my motto in coaching is start your impossible. So
Okay.
that's my motto as part of my coaching brand. So
I love that.
Godfidence
I
was
love that.
up,
That is such a
up
nice
there.
motto. Yeah. Hmm. Love it.
So,
Okay.
so, so Godfidence was apt because, in my view, confidence is limited and Godfidence is unlimited.
Lovely. Wow. It's so amazing how a bit of thought behind something actually makes it even more special, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And very personal, and very
Yeah.
personal. And while I am a Christian, I don't prescribe that to my clients. It's the
Yes.
philosophy of the unlimitedness. And as a life coach, you would know what we are dealing with is unlocking or rewriting limiting beliefs, ours and our clients.
100%. 100%. That is so interesting. I love that story. That's such a nice story. Sure. Was there ever something like earlier on in your life that to get to this whole story of yours, so the degrees and the working in the male environments and the companies and all these things, from where you come from to, and I don't know what your upbringing was like,
Yes.
to someone who is so super successful, was there ever a life-changing event or moment or something that actually kicked you into gear to make this happen?
A lot has kicked me into gear. And I mean, you talk about being very successful, but I've lived in failure and it's something I'm quite comfortable with.
There's no such thing as failure.
So while I had many successes, I've had many, many failures and defining moments.
Yes.
And those happened maybe later in my life. I mean, we talk about how became one of the first Black female chemical engineers from Tax. But I
Yeah.
have a very funny story, my hello story at Tax, my hello story. So I had done extremely well in my matric in chemistry, almost 100%. So that's
Sure.
the reason I decided to study chemical engineering. But I clearly was not aware that at university it was a different ball game. And my first test, which was good, we had two tests that determined whether you were going to stay in chemical engineering or you'd have to look for another degree. And
Okay.
my first one of those tests, I got zero. Still not.
Oh,
It is
I think I
such a
got
shock.
that once too. Don't worry.
The thing is, I was like 100, like an A student throughout. Geez, I don't get zeros. And here I was, first year university, and my hello was a zero. But you know what was comforting? There were 48 other zeros in a class of 480 because
Sure.
chemistry was mixed with BSc students, medicine students, and engineering students, right? Some people left. Those students that get A's at the end of the year and they're in newspapers, they were so angry. Most of them dropped out.
Okay. Okay. I can imagine. Yeah.
Now, you know, I I may not be, be far ahead or the first of many, but one thing I'm not is a quitter. So I don't quit easy, you know. And there was someone, and I'll mention the name. I always say to people, find yourself an Ingrid Jones. There was a student who was studying medicine, and her name was Ingrid Jones. And Ingrid had gotten 88%. No.
So you went to
So
her.
in a class of 480, no, you don't know who Ingrid is.
Uh,
You heard what I said. I went to the lecturer and I said, at next lecture, please show me this Ingrid who got 88%. And then they were introduced and I asked her to tutor me. And she did. Obviously, she was young and I was a bit cheeky and she would be a bit patronizing. But I've always been one to look at the end game. I knew I wanted to do chemical engineering and I would sit through those lessons. And my second test, I got 78. And I
wow.
guess Thanks to Ingrid, I'm here.
That's incredible. That's incredible. That's incredible. So yeah, so you're not shy of a helping hand to get where you want to get to,
No.
and that is important. I mean, the end game is important. It's how you get there. All the stuff between it doesn't really matter. Hey, it's the end game you're striving for.
Yes, yes.
So
But
yeah,
also having the humility. I believe confidence is having the humility to say you don't know and
yes,
asking for help. That's actually true confidence.
okay, okay. That is very interesting. Sure, 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 sure. So okay, so if you now that you're coaching, I'm going to throw this curveball at you. If you had a choice to coach one person, past or present, who would that be and why?
Sure.
Right now, as Honey, sitting there in
If
that
I had a
chair.
choice,
Yeah.
yeah. I think it would be my younger self, hey?
And tell me why.
It would be my younger self in that I lacked a lot of patience. I was not so disciplined. I had goals and I just dropped them. So I wasn't disciplined. I lacked the discipline required for most of the things that I went into.
Yeah.
And as a coach, obviously as coaches, one doesn't advise, but I would test the sweating the small things part of me as
Yeah.
a coach. I would tease onto that,
Yeah.
And yeah, and I think for me that I would want to coach a younger version of me. And I've been fortunate to have some people, like I have graduates as coaching clients. And it's quite interesting how they see things, and
Yeah.
I remember myself being where they are.
And tell me, how did you sort out your discipline then?
You know what? I've realized that discipline is about doing those things that you don't like. Because the things you like, no one needs to, you don't need discipline in them.
Yeah.
And I work with routines. I'm a list person. If you're not on the list, geez, you won't make it anywhere.
So okay, that's very interesting. And then I know that you love your golf because we're gonna have a game
Yeah,
sometime.
yeah.
And
In
and
December.
yeah, in December. And I guess that you do go to the gym a little bit. I might be wrong.
Yeah,
How else what's
I
your
do.
downtime? What's your downtime? Going to retreats you mentioned earlier and just putting your feet
Yeah.
up. So what do you do with your downtime to
So
recharge?
funny. Golf is actually not my downtime. So golf is actually my sharpen your brain time.
Okay.
So I use golf it helps me think. I love it. I play it. I don't even bother how I play on the day. If I
Yeah.
played great, great. If I didn't play great, hey, there's another opportunity. And there's always the 19th hole. I think they made it for a reason, you know. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the 19th hole. And I play to meet people. That's why I like playing golf with fun
Yeah.
people, not people who take it too seriously. Because I'm saying, if I wanted to be a professional at it, just like everything else, I would have put all the effort. And
Yeah.
I just played for fun, and I love it. And I do go to the gym. I'm actually coerced and dragged to the gym. I used to love gym, but over time, I go because I have to, and also for my mental strength, it helps.
Yeah. Yeah.
But my downtime really is being with family. I spend a lot of time with my family. I'm fortunate to still have my parents.
Okay.
So I
That is
spend time with my mom a lot. It's funny, if you ask teenage me whether my mom would be my best friend now, I would laugh at you. But now, I spend a lot of time with my mom, with friends. And we go out for lunch. I don't go much out for dinner much. I don't know why. Over time, I've gotten over the dinner thing, but I go out for lunches and I read. I love reading. I read a
Yeah.
lot.
So,
I read a lot.
so you've obviously traveled a lot too. Is that right?
Yeah.
Some of the experiences there that you've had that maybe could have or have defined you in channeling you in certain directions in your life.
Mhm.
What experiences have you gained from that?
So I've traveled a lot and I still travel. Travel is one of the things I like, and the bush, or the bush is my home away from home, you know.
Okay. Well, I know you
Now,
mentioned
I've
Dubai to me last time we discussed, and you
yes, I
love
was in
Dubai.
Dubai 2 weeks ago. I love
Yeah.
Dubai. I love Dubai.
Okay.
Now, so there's so in 2006, I was working for one of the banks. Once again, workaholic, leaving work at midnight, and I suffered burnout.
Okay.
Suffered burnout, and I could feel literally that if I had stayed, I mean, there was 2 weeks to the bonus, but I left it. I left the bonus. There's a
Yeah.
big bonus as a high performer. However, I could feel that it was between my sanity and waiting for the bonus.
Okay.
So I remember having a conversation with my boss at the time saying they'll have a bigger pool to share when I've
Okay.
left.
Wow.
And and I'd always wanted to do a humanitarian project at the time. And I
Okay.
still had young kids. My 21-year-old was 3 years old. And I went to Ghana. And prior to going, she kept on saying, if you go to Ghana, I'm going to find another mother. I guess we know the answer to that. I went to Ghana. I'm still her mother, and she's 21 now.
Okay. Yeah. Tell us. I'm excited to hear the story. Yeah.
I went to Ghana and I lived at the refugee camp for Liberian refugees. There were refugees from different countries, but mainly Liberia was the dominant. And it was
Okay.
just outside Accra, maybe a good 20 Ks outside Accra, Bujuburam refugee camp. And for me, that travel was a defining moment
Hmm.
in that up until then, I was this banking project manager who had just had no time. You know, it was delivery or else. And every day, so that I don't kill my family at home, I used to have a cafe latte. And I would say, I'd never go a day without a coffee latte. Guess what? I lived in a refugee camp. There was no electricity. So when you guys were angry about load shedding, I wasn't. I lived there. No
Okay.
running water, no running water, literally the bottom of the food chain. And I found that I was most at peace. I met
Ha-
the most amazing people, most spirited people in the refugees. And at the time, I didn't have, it was a school that I was working at. I didn't have
Okay.
patience for little children, including mine, by the way, who were 3 and 5 at the time.
Yeah.
So I then became the fundraiser and the project manager who then formalized the organization, and we set up an organization called Vision Awake Africa for Development, and did the formal registrations, articles of association, and worked on the fundraising. And I was on the advisory board at the time. And fast forward to almost 17 years later, I now chair the board of the NPO.
Wow. Wow.
But
And so
that was
that must have made a massive difference in many people's lives.
a lot of, and most of the children were unaccompanied minors,
Sure.
you
Sure.
know,
That's your heart,
and
isn't it? That's your heart. That's why you're in life coaching. You
that's
enjoy,
why,
you want to help people. You want to, you're a giver, you're a server. You serve a higher purpose, don't you?
yeah, and I am so privileged to be able to coach because coaching, I use the Ikigai as a philosophy in my coaching, and
Yeah.
coaching is definitely my Ikigai. I didn't know it this time last year. I didn't know
Okay.
that coaching is my ikigai. But I think in January, as I was reflecting, I remember that usually when I speak to people, it could be a 5-minute conversation, 10 minutes, and someone would say, something have shifted. You've given me a lot to think about.
It's a gift.
And I think
Gift.
it's been the best gift to me. And I enjoy coaching and the clients and the transformation that I'm seeing in their lives.
Yeah, I must say, it's a very fulfilling job. It's a very fulfilling purpose. Yeah,
Yes.
it's incredible. So before I hear your future plans, because I'm sure you even have bigger goals, bigger. Because we're running out of time, and this is a short podcast, like I told you, because I can't concentrate much longer. I'm not like you. But what if you had to leave the audience with one thing that, I mean, what would you leave the audience with? Just a bit of advice or a thought or something special. What would you leave?
I think I'd leave the audience with 3 of my mantras, which is carpe diem, seize the moment, not even the day, seize the moment.
Yeah.
And the other one, they're all Latin. The other one is memento vivere, remember to live. And why you must remember to live, because memento mori, remember you will die.
Gee, that is amazing. That is amazing, honey. Sure. Don't speak too much Latin to me. I won't understand too much.
I've translated it.
Yeah.
You know why? Our days are numbered, and sometimes we live as though they're not.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Many people do. Don't
I'll
think
be
they.
happy in 10 years. I'll be better when I have more money. I'm waiting for Friday. I don't like Monday. I'm waiting for summer. I don't like winter.
Yeah. You're 100% right. I love that. I love that. So the audience, whoever's listening to this, I hope you actually have written down some notes here, because it's something to live by. It's really, really amazing what Honey's just said. And Honey, your future plans.
Woo, too many to count. Hey, I just
Give
need
me
to take myself.
the end goal.
No, but I just want to share. So today is the anniversary of when my company was registered last year. And I'm glad to say it's no longer on paper, it's invoicing people. So at least as a coach, I achieved the goals that I set myself.
Wow.
But I think for me, future plans is to grow more leaders in corporate, instill more confidence in women, because they come with the gifts, most of them. But society has told them they're not worthy of the gifts they carry, And obviously, I'd like to coach internationally and grow as a speaker and a business mentor. And I remain confident that it will happen.
Gee, honey. Well, let me tell you, I have really, really enjoyed just talking to you, because but people don't realize all these achievements, all these things, but you're just a wonderful, normal person. And that is what is appreciated by the audience and by people out there. It's just being normal, being authentic. And that's what you are, honey. So I really appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to be chatting to us today. And I will have all your details for anyone out there. Honey's details. Got the Godfidence coach. Are you happy that we list all those details? So guys, you can get in contact. She's the most amazing lady, as you can see. And next week we've got another awesome guest coming on. And today, thank you, Honey, for your time. I really, really appreciate it. And I think the audience will love to hear what you've said today. So thank you so much, Honey.
No, thank you for having me, Doug, and keep doing great work. Ultimately, we are all ordinary people doing extraordinary things.
Jeez, you should have got A's on every subject. You're so smart. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honey. Okay.
Have a blessed day. Thanks.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.